Insight on the fight against ISIL and its advances across Syria. I'm joined now by Peter Bechtold in Portland, Oregon. He is a former director of Near East North Africa Area Studies at the U.S. State Department's Foreign Service Institute, and he's now an adjunct professor of political science at Portland State University. Mr. Bechtold, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me back.
The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Group says some ex-Iraqi Air Force pilots are training members of ISIS to fly these warplanes captured from air bases in Syria. This has been floating around for several days now. What do we make of these reports?
Well, two thoughts come to mind. One of them is the reliability of the source. The Syrian Observatory Group for Human Rights has been a one-person outfit based in UK, consisting of a gentleman who fled the regime of the Ba'ath Party. And so while the numbers of casualties that they have reported, or he has reported over time, seems to be a fairly accurate approximation, one always has to consider what axe he has to grind.
I see. And would it be as simple as that? I mean, training someone to fly a sophisticated piece of machinery like this is not going to happen overnight.
Exactly. Now, I'm not surprised if the reports are true that there would be officers of the Iraqi regime who fled would help their fellow Sunni Arabs, because it really is not a conflict within Syria or within Iraq, but it's a conflict pitting a group, Islamic State, which sees itself not at all as terrorists, as previously mentioned, but as defenders of Sunni Arabs who've been beleaguered by the governments in Baghdad for 8 years and the government in Damascus for 48 years.
I see. What should the U.S.-led coalition do now, given that they have this piece of information? Should anything change moving forward?
Well, if indeed there are MiG fighters that have been captured, which is entirely possible, it should be very easy for the Western coalition to destroy those fighters because they have overpowering air superiority. That would not concern me. The real concern is who is helping whom. And I think that the bigger issue is in this region, Turkey is the main player. And they do not want to cooperate militarily because of the backlash in Turkey. And that is consistent with what your correspondent Ala just reported, that the airstrikes are turning more people against the coalition and therefore in favor of IS than they are helping to destroy them. Because, when foreigners who are labeled there as the new imperialists come back into a region, they cannot succeed. It has to be Sunni Arab Muslims who contain the Sunni Arab ISIS. That's the only way.
I see.
Outsiders are just going to make it more complicated.
Right, and that obviously is the reason we've seen U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry traveling to the region, trying to organize a coalition there. What do you make, though, of Allah's report and the fact that he said that there have been 10 casualties on the ground? I mean, they say as many as 4,000 airstrikes so far, anywhere from 1 to 4,000. We don't have that report verified, but, could a mounting civilian casualty list there hurt the U.S.-led coalition even more in the coming weeks?
What it could, as you know, usually these initial reports, and I'm not blaming anybody for making them, tend to be not very accurate, whether it's in Syria or earlier in Afghanistan or in Pakistan. Several days later, people sort of revised the numbers and said, well, yes, mistakes were made. So it is almost impossible to conduct an air war without civilian collateral damage. And so I think that the Western countries who are involved in these air campaigns are doing it primarily for domestic reasons. They have to do something against what is seen as an extremist, radical, uncivilized, barbaric group called IS who beheads Western hostages. But the strategy is not likely to succeed if Western military seem to be in control. It has to be done internally, either to defeat ISIS, because if they remain extremists, the Sunni Arab tribes of northwestern Iraq and of central Syria will leave them, because these are secular people who have grown up under the Ba'ath Party regimes in Syria and in Iraq. They don't believe in women covering up. They don't believe in the other messages that IS is preaching. So this is what I'm looking for. It is an internal control, not an external attack. The external attack, I believe, is mostly for PR reasons in the Western countries, also in the Arab states of the Arabian Peninsula.
Peter Bechtold, live in Portland. We thank you as always.